number 1 says that you have to use Kramer's rule. So on the test on Friday, you have to show me the work that I asked you to show. So part of this test is reading directions and following directions. So this one, if I'm using Kramer's rule, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do the coefficient matrix, and I'm going to find the determinant of that. So 2 minus a negative 6, and I get 8. And then to find x, I am going to put the answers in the x column, leave the y column alone, and then I'm going to divide this by 8. So that's 36 minus plus, yeah, I can't do it mentally. 36 minus 20, so 16, yes. So I'm going to get 2. And then to do the y, I am going to put that 1 and 3 back in the x column, put the answers in the y column, still dividing by 8. So I'm going to have negative 10 minus 50, So negative 64 over 8. So that's negative 8. So my ordered pair is 2, negative 8. Everyone good? Why would you do math wrong? Oh, you're right. It did only say find x. I just talked about reading directions, and I didn't read the directions. Find the area formed by the vertices. So I'm going to do, it's triangle plus or minus 1/2. And I'm going to do 2, 3, negative 5, 7, negative 1, negative 4, put in a column of 1s. And when I do that determinant, I get 61, if I'm trusting this person. Is that person leading me astray? They are? And then I'm just going to make sure my answer is positive, so it's going to be 30.5 for my area. Any questions on that? Any questions on the homework? We're good on the homework? So if I remember correctly, and I think I do, we talked about him. We were starting to watch the movie clip, but we didn't finish the movie clip. Yes? Did I go on my whole spiel about the Apple products? Yes. Okay. So remember, I'm going to push this once and patiently wait. I wonder if you can record a recording.
Popular at school, right? Short of staff, we get more staff. You have 6 minutes to complete the task. It's an impossible. No, takes me 5 minutes and 34 seconds.
You said to do it in under 6. What is it that we're going to do?
We're going to break an unbreakable Nazi code and win the war. To pull off this irascible genius routine, one actually has to be a genius. I'm designing a machine that will allow us to bring every message, every day, instantly.
We just need all the help you can get, and they are not going to help if they do not like it.
Have you decrypted a single government message? You will never understand the importance of what I am creating here. Our patience has expired. No! If you fire Helen, well then you'll have to fire me. Me too.
And me.
That's a bloody word.
And you do not have to do this alone.
What are you doing? What's going on? Anything was to solve its fire. You've got more secrets from the best of them. What if I don't fancy it that way? Can't tell anyone home. It's illegal. I'm just a mathematician.
Sometimes it is the people who no one imagines anything of who do the things that no one can imagine.
gosh, stop. Okay, so that's, wait, what? Did you say wait? All right, so that's Al Turner. So what it said is he is one who is considered to be the first architect of the first computer. He, they want him to just create a machine. They want him to like be able to receive a message, decode it, and then receive another message, work on that one. And what he wanted to do was what he did do is he created a computer that no matter what message came in, it could be decoded instantaneously. And he is given credit for ending some of the bombings in London at the time. So if it wasn't for him, we could all be speaking German right now. So God, amazing that he was that smart. Great movie. Anyone watch the movie? Anyone see the whole movie? He's gonna buy it for us, so we get to see it. All right. So we're gonna do like a basic way to code and decode messages, and we're gonna use matrices to do that. And that's so right here, I think this is in your textbook somewhere. This is the alphabet code. So 0 is a blank, A is 1, 2, and it goes on. So what I'm going to do is I am going to code a message. This is what, in order to code a message, I have to be given a matrix. So I'm given this matrix, and then I'm going to convert the message, this landing successful, I'm going to convert that all into numbers. And then I'm going to multiply it by this matrix in such a way, and then I'm going to end up with a whole bunch of different numbers. Does that make sense? I'm going to pretend like everyone's shaking their head yes. So I have to remember some things. So when I go to code and decode, this matrix is going to be the second matrix. Does that make sense? Like I'm going to have one matrix times this matrix. And this one is the one that goes here. Yes? So this matrix is a 3 by 3. So in order to do this matrix, I don't know how many columns I'm going to have, but how many, no, I didn't say that right. I don't know how many rows I'm going to have, but how many columns do I have to have? 3, because if I don't have these 3 and these 3 don't match, then I cannot multiply them. Does that make sense? So now I'm going to take landing successful, and I'm going to write that in a bunch of numbers. Did anyone do that yet for me? So let's go down. So L is 12. Everyone good? Are you okay if I write it in the matrix as I go? I thought so. So 12, and then A, 1, N, 14. Now I'm going down to my next row. Does that make sense? D is 4, I is 9, N is 14, G is, and then I need a space. You guys are working and I'm working. Now I kind of lucked out because I ended on my 12. Does that make sense? If I had extra spaces here, what would I have to fill in with? Zeros. I'd have to fill in with zeros. So now I'm going to take this matrix C. And I'm going to pick up my calculator because I'm not going to expect you to do this by hand. And I'm going to multiply the 2. This ended up having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows, yes? So I'm expecting a 6 by 3 back. So if we're having a good day, we all got the same answer. Do we all get the same answer, I wonder? This is what I got. Did you get the same thing? What is the first thing you notice about those numbers? What? There's a lot. Well, there's as many numbers here as there are here. So yeah, there's a lot of so all these numbers that I'm putting in here have to be between 0 and 26, right? All these numbers here, they're not between 0 and 26, and that's okay. And that's how I know whether a message is coded or decoded. Like if I look at this and I know that this is supposed to be in an alphabetical, a word message, I'm looking at that and I know that that's the coded message. Does that make sense? Now, if I were going to be very, very sneaky and send this off so people couldn't determine what was going on, I wouldn't even give them the idea of what size matrix I used to code it. So I would just write these numbers in a string and let them try and figure it out from there. Does that make sense? In other words, when you end up doing some of these, you're just going to get a long list of numbers and you're going to have to figure out what size matrix you have to make it in. Okay, so now let's say I want to, so I would continue doing that. Let's say I want to decode it. How would I undo multiplying by that matrix that I just multiplied by? Go ahead. Multiply by the inverse. So to uncode this, to decode it, I'm going to take this matrix and I'm going to multiply it by that original matrix, which was that 1, 2, 2, 3, 7, 9, -1, -4, -7, I think. I'm going to raise it to the -1 power. And if I'm having a good day, I hope I'm having a good day. If I'm having a good day, I should end up with this matrix back. Does that make sense? Okay, try it. And you're just going to go up and grab it, right? You're not retyping this whole thing. Please tell me you're not retyping this whole thing. Can I be really lazy? I am. You can't stop me. It doesn't match what I started off with? Everyone good? So if you were ever to code or decode by yourself, you would have to make sure that the matrix that you chose to code it had an inverse. Because remember, not every single matrix has an inverse. So I would check that first to make sure I could find an inverse. All right, let's try. So this was used to code the message. Here's your message. Try and decode it for me. Should I give you a couple minutes? What's wrong, Nick? You have to figure that out. Nick, I'll give you some hints. Are you not going to multiply it by this inverse? Yeah, so however many rows by 3 columns. And what did you get, Emily?
Numbers or
Yeah, let's do the numbers.
5, 14, 5, 13, 25, 0, 6, 15, 21, 14, 4, 0.
And then you converted to letters. And when you converted to letters, what did you get? What? Oh. Easy? So you had 3 homework problems that we didn't do last night. So you're going to pick up and do those. Do you want to do one of those now before we move on to the review? Or do you guys feel good with this? We're good? Okay, great. Let's review. So I'd love to give you back your quizzes right now, but I can't. So on the quiz, you had to do everything by hand. You had to do reduced row echelon by hand. You had to do Gaussian elimination by hand. And you had to do finding the determinant of a 3 by 3 by hand. Yes? On this test, so I could test you on more things. It's me being selfish. I eliminated you having to do a lot of that hand manual stuff, and I'm going to let you use your calculator so that I can test you on more things. You're welcome. So if you have something like this where I have this system and it says, given the following, write a augmented matrix. So you have to read the directions. So if it tells me that I have to write an augmented matrix, I have to know what that is, and then I have to write it. And then based on that, you can choose to use your calculator to solve it however you want to solve it. You don't have to do by hand doing the Gaussian-Jordan elimination. Does that make sense to everyone? So do not waste your time doing the Gaussian-Jordan elimination because you'll never finish the test. Yes? Well, I do have ways of slipping in the hand, but I didn't do it for this. I'll show you where I slipped in the hand. There's no Gaussian-Jordan, no Gauss-Jordan, there's no reduced row echelon. And I'm recorded, so you know you can play this back to me if I ever publish it, and you'll call me a liar if I put that on. But I won't put that on, so we're good, right? So if I have to write the augmented matrix, what does augmented matrix mean? Lauren? Yeah, so you're just going to go through those rows, 2, -1, 9. You put the 3 dots, and you write in the -8. Now, I'm going to pick up my calculator and choose how I want to solve it. Have I shown you guys reduced row echelon on your calculator in here? So I could pick up my calculator and do reduced row echelon. If I don't want to do that, because you're going to have to show me what I do. So if I'm going to do reduced row echelon form, I can just write RREF, and that lets me know that that's what you're doing. If you don't want to do it that way on your calculator, how else can you do it on your calculator? It was the last question on your quiz that I can't pass back. Remember that? That's a 7. Reducing using inverse matrices? Yes, ma'am?
How do you put the dots?
You don't put the dots in your calculator. But when you're doing the calculator, I have 3 rows and how many columns? 4. So it does not do me any good ever to do like a reduced row echelon form with just a 3 by 3 because my calculator will give me just the identity matrix and that doesn't help me out at all. So if I'm here, I'm going to hit menu, matrix, reduce row echelon form, and then I'm going to put in a matrix that is choosing the one that I can do. I have 3 rows, but I want to change this to 4 columns. Whoopsie. Didn't mean to do that. Why am I doing this wrong, I wonder? And then I have 3 rows, 4 columns, yes? Why do you look like that? Then I'm going to type in what I see there, yes? So I have it frozen so I can see what I'm typing. 2, -1, 9, and then I'm just typing in the -8. I'm not worrying about those dots. The calculator's smart enough to know that just those dots are there. 5, 2, -1, 17. So when I do that, this is what I get on my calculator. So you will notice that it puts it in reduced row echelon form on the left side, and then that final column is my, what is that final column? Those are my answers. So when I do that, if I do reduce row echelon form, I'm going to write this notation, put this in my calculator, and then my answers are going to be 2, 3, -1. Good? If I say find the inverse of the coefficient matrix and then use the inverse to solve the system, this one actually wants you to find the inverse, but you can use your calculator to find the inverse, and then multiply the answers by the inverse. So you're going to write down what you're doing. 4, 4, 4. And remember, if you get confused in my multiplying the inverse by the answers and the answers by the inverse, let the size help you. Does that make sense? Like this is a 3 by 3. This is 3 rows, 1 column. This is the only way that I can multiply those two matrices. So this one, notice here, and I'm going to point this out because every year everyone messes this up on the test. It says find the inverse. So if I find the inverse of the coefficient matrix, I know it's on your calculator, but you're going to have to show me that you did it. Does that make sense? Which means you're going to have to write it down. Yes? And did somebody write it down, I wonder? Did anyone do it? Can I borrow? Thank you. Oh, is it the nasty fractions? Aren't you glad you didn't have to do that by hand? And then notice the -1 went away, yes, because I found the inverse already. And then when I multiply, what do I get? When I multiply, what do I get?
31, 42.
What? Is that right? Boy, that's really ugly. Multiply it in the beginning. What does that mean? Put that full equation in the beginning. Yes, but you're not going to follow. I'm going to take a point off because you didn't show the inverse. I mean, it's not like you, yes, it is a pain to write this down, but you know what's even worse? Well, getting a point off or finding this inverse by hand, right? That is so true. Would you want to do this with all those fractions by hand? Yeah, don't take the makeup version of a test then. Yes?
For the possible form, like when you did the reduced row echelon form, like when you put that in the calculator, could you not just do that same process for the one before?
Yes, I did say that too. So like here, since this one doesn't ask me how to solve it, but it does ask me for the augmented matrix, so I have to write this augmented matrix. I have to do that. And then I said I could solve it this way with the reduced row echelon form, which is what I did, or I could have done this. Now this one, Sophia doesn't have to stop and write the inverse because it doesn't ask for the inverse. She can do it all in one step in her calculator.
And then for the other one, you said you reduced the echelon?
This one, if you're totally throwing out the directions, yeah. You throw out the directions, I throw off some points. Agreed?
I do.
Okay. Do we agree that I get to throw off points if you don't follow directions? Okay, this one, find the determinant of the matrix by expanding the cofactors of column 3. This is what I promised. You will have to do one where you have to do the minors and cofactors. Just one. Only one. So this one I'm saying expanding column 3. So I'm using this column. I have no choice because I told you which column to do it. Because if I don't tell you which column, there's 9 different ways you can do this, and I really don't want to have 9 separate answers on my answer key. I'm being lazy. I'll tell you that right now. Fair enough? Yeah. So are we doing this? Are we finding the minors first and then making them cofactors, or are we just making them cofactors right from the beginning? Do you have any idea what I'm saying? Yeah. No? Okay. So this is the minor... what is this? Minor row 1, column 3, yes? You don't have to write that if you don't want to. So this will be 15 minus a -5, so I'm going to get 20. Everyone agree? Oh, where did I get 15? Oh, let's try that again. Woo, some bad math. 6 minus a negative 5. 11. Okay. Now I'm going to undo that. And now I'm going to do minor row 2, column 3. So negative 12 minus a negative 15. 3. I have no faith in my mental abilities right now. And then finally, minor 3, 3. And that's cos. So 4 minus the negative 6, 10. So those are my minors. Now I'm going to change them into cofactors. To change them into cofactors, what do I have to do? I have to do two things. What are the two things I have to do? The plus minus plus thing. So plus minus plus minus plus minus plus minus plus. Yes? And then what's the other thing I have to do? Yeah, you multiply the values. They're called cofactors because of the coefficients. So this one, this plus sign means that I'm going to keep the sign the same and I'm going to multiply by negative 2. So I'm going to take negative 2 times this 11 and get negative 22. Everyone good? I feel like we may have to do another one of these. This one that has this negative sign, that means I'm going to change my sign. My number is 3, so I'm going to multiply by negative 3 and get negative 9. And then the last one means this, I'm going to keep this sign the same, and I'm going to multiply it by negative 5. So I'm going to get negative 50. And then what do I do with these cofactors? I put them together mathematically. How do we do that? Add them. Put them together. Negative 71, negative 81. Did I do that right? Now, I'm a conscious, diligent student. I want to check and make sure I did this right because I want all the points I can. How can I check this on my calculator? I can plug it into my calculator, do that menu, matrices. I think it's 3 is determinant. Put that in and see if I get negative 81. Do I get negative 81?
Yes.
Yes. Nick already checked it for us. Say what again? Yeah, pick up your calculator. You hit menu. So you hit menu and you get 7, which is the matrices and whatever. And then number 3 should say determinant. So you press determinant and then you put in this 3 by 3 matrix. I'll erase those. And then you put that in and you should get the answer, negative 81. Good? This isn't too bad, right? Now, did I put one on here? I feel like I did. Do we need to do another one? I have another one just in case we need to do another one. I feel like we do. Do you feel like we do? I feel like we do. This one says use row 2, so I'm using this row here. I'm going to hit pause, and hopefully I've been recording this whole time. Oh. So that's what you should have for your minors, right? Then I'm going to, and does everyone know that when I'm doing this plus, minus, plus, I really don't have to do the whole thing. Once I have this plus here, I know that this is going to be minus and this is going to be plus. Yes? Because they alternate for everything. All right, so the first one is going to be, I'm not going to change the sign, and it's negative 4. So I'm going to multiply this by negative 4, and I'm going to get 4. Oh my goodness. Back it up. You were so right. Why did I do that, I wonder? I don't know. I'm not going to change the sign at all. No, I am going to change the sign. I was right about that. I'm going to change the sign. So the negative 3 is going to become a positive 3, yes? And then I'm going to have negative 3. Then the 1 will stay the same, so that's really pointless. And then the negative, this is a negative, so I'm going to multiply by negative 1. So this becomes a positive 1. I add those together and I get negative 2. want to see something. So this is how I make sure that you know how to determine it by hand. I throw an X in there, right? And then if I were to do this, I could either do it by cofactors and minors, or I could do the other way. What was the other way we learned? Loops. So which way do you want to do this one? So I'm copying down the first two rows again. And then I'm going to do the loops. And I know that this is going to be equal to 15. Which way do I do my first set of loops, Ashley?
I hate to do this, but for the one we just did, what did you get as a final answer?
A negative 2?
Okay, so on the calculator, it's negative 12.
No.
That's what it says.
Well, here, let me erase.
Oh, and I got on my calculator.
I just don't want to.
What did you put it? I'm just going to check your calculator. Negative 4, negative 1, 4, negative 3, 1, 1. Oh, you forgot a negative sign. See here? You have positive 1. That has to be a negative 1.
How does it change it that much?
Well, it's a negative sign. Power of a negative. All right, moving on. All right, does everyone, so which way do my loops go first? So this, and this, yes? And when I do that, I'm going to have 0 plus 2 plus 2. Everyone agree? Minus, now I'm doing my loops the other way. And I'm going to have negative x minus 8 plus 0, and this is all equal to 15. Distributing my negative sign, combining my like terms, I'm going to have 4 plus x plus 8 is equal to 15. So x plus 12 is equal to 15. X is equal to 3. How would I check it? How would I check it? I would go up here, put 3 in here, and see if it really does equal 15. Any other questions? Okay, now I'm going back. Emily, you okay? You're not okay?
No, I'm good.
Do we Kramer's rule? How do I do Kramer's rule? So you're going to first find the determinant of the coefficients. Oopsie, that's a 1. What do I get for the determinant of that? Quickly, because I'm not patient. Huh? Negative 24. Does everyone agree? Anyone else do it? No one else did it? Okay, then to find my x, I am going to show that I'm putting the answers in the x column, leaving everything else alone, and I'm going to divide this by negative 24, yes? I'm going to find the determinant of this, and I'm going to take the time to write that down because I'm not that lazy. And what did I get for the determinant of that? 48. And then I'm going to have negative 2 as my answer. Good?
So how do you find negative 24?
I did the determinant up here. The coefficient. Yeah, put that in my calculator. Okay, on the test, you are not going to solve the whole system. It will only ask you to solve for one letter. Make sure you pay attention to which letter you're solving for. Does that make sense? So like if I were solving for the y's, this answer column would go into the y's. If I was solving for the z's, it would go into the z's. Good? Do you want to do the whole thing? I feel like we're running out of time, so I'm going to say no to that. I'm just vetoing that idea. I'm doing it. All right, this one. Can I find the area of this triangle? All right, I'll give you a second. determinant. And then when you multiply it by 1/2. Oh, can you wait 1 second?
Yeah.
So we had 25/4, and then when I multiply it by 1/2, I'm going to have 25/8. Yes? You just have to make sure that your answer is positive. That's what that plus or minus means. Yes? Yeah. Oh. Okay, last one. Use the determinant to write the equation of the line that goes through these 2 points. Do you remember how you set it up? Oh. X, Y, and then yes. Everything she just said. So you're going to do X, Y. Then you write your 2 ordered pairs, and then you fill in with ones. And what do I set this equal to? Sophia? 0. Now this one I have to do by hand as well, yes? Oh, what am I doing? No one knows. X plus 6y minus 2. Everyone good with that? So that's what you have? Are you okay if I distribute the negative sign as I combine like terms? So 6x plus 4y minus 32 is equal to 0? And I can leave it like that. How could I check that? Any ideas how I could check that? And you can plug in the ordered pairs and make sure it works. The 2 and the 5, make sure it works. 6 and negative 1. Yes? Okay. I did that one already. Okay. So you're going back to page 595. You're doing 46, 50, and 56. Those are the coding and decoding. I have a gift for you in the form of a review worksheet. This, actually, there is a submission point on Blackboard. I want this on Blackboard. I'll say it again. I want this on Blackboard as one PDF. One PDF on Blackboard. Do I have to say it again? Don't email it to me. Don't send me 4 pictures. What? That is a review. Wasn't that nice of me to make you a review? So you have the test next class. If you're desperate for additional practice problems, here's some practice problems. That was before I made a review worksheet. You can look at those just for fun. Yes? And just so we're all in the same place, what are we going to do on Tuesday? ACT quiz on the 1 through 5s. Anyone have any questions? Great.